I shot my brother in the leg with his own hunting rifle when I was 16, and the cops called it self-defense. That's the story everyone in our sleepy corner of upstate New York bought, the one that kept me out of juvie and him hobbling for a year on crutches. But the truth? He deserved every goddamn ounce of that .30-06 round, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because that's when I learned betrayal isn't just a word, it's the blade that carves out your guts while you're smiling for the family photo. The wedding invitation never came. Of course. Not for me. The black sheep who'd ruined everything by pulling that trigger. My brother, Jake, was tying the knot with some wide-eyed debutante from the Hamptons. And there, save the date, hit every cousin, aunt, and uncle's mailbox like confetti from hell. I found out scrolling Instagram late one night, Jax's arm slung over my shoulder as we nursed beers on our beat-up porch in Virginia Beach. The photo showed Jake grinning like a used car salesman. His fiancée, Lila, all blonde waves and trust fund glow, beaming beside him, with a caption that read, "Two families, one forever. Blessed no drama. No drama."
Right.
As if I hadn't spent the last decade scraping together a life after Jake pinned his sins on me. That shot? It wasn't random. He'd been dealing meth out of our garage, cooking it in the old shed Dad used for woodworking before the cancer ate him alive. I walked in on the lab one night, plastic jugs reeking of cat piss, burners hissing like snakes, and when I confronted him, he swung a tire iron at my head. I grabbed the rifle to scare him off, but he lunged, and the bang echoed through the pines like Judgment Day. The bullet grazed his thigh, shattered his femur. Cops came. Jake spun the yarn. She flipped out. Thought I was cheating on her boyfriend or some bullshit. I was the unstable sister. The one with the issues. He walked with a limp and a clean record. I got community service and a lifetime of whispers. Jax, my fiancé, the Navy SEAL they call the Ghost for vanishing into shadows on Black Ops, didn't flinch when I told him the real story on our third date. Sounds like he needed a wake-up call, he'd said. His voice gravel-low, eyes like polished obsidian under that buzz cut. We'd met at a dive bar off base. Me slinging drinks to pay for night classes in criminal justice. Him fresh off a deployment with scars that mapped out places I'd never see. He proposed 6 months later on a rain-slicked pier. No ring. Just his dog tags pressed into my palm. "Wear these till I can get you something real," he'd murmured. That was 2 years ago.
Now,
staring at that Instagram post, I felt the old rage bubble up like battery acid. "You going?" Jax asked, not looking up from his phone, where he was probably checking mission briefs disguised as memes. "Hell no." "Why would I?" He set the phone down, those seal eyes locking onto mine, patient, predatory. "Because it's family. And because I asked Lila last week,
casual-like,
if you were on the list." My stomach dropped. "You what?" One corner of his mouth twitched, that ghost of a smile he saves for when he's about to drop a grenade. Asked her one question. "Everly's the maid of honor?" "Right." She froze like a deer in headlights. Said they were keeping it intimate. That's code for excluding the inconvenient truths. I laughed, sharp and hollow. Intimate. With 200 guests and a string quartet? Christ. Jake's always been a selective asshole. Jax leaned forward, elbows on knees, the porch light catching the faint scar across his knuckles from a knife fight in Fallujah he won't talk about. "We're going." Uninvited. "You and me." Crash the party. Everly. Make him sweat. It was insane. Reckless. The kind of move that gets you arrested or starts a blood feud. But that's Jax. The ghost doesn't do half measures. And me? I've been half alive since that night in the shed, carrying Jake's secret like a tumor. He got the inheritance, the family farm turned event venue, the life. I got the stigma, the dead-end jobs, the therapy bills. Time to flip the script. We flew into Albany the next morning. Economy seats that smelled like stale pretzels and regret. Jax rented a blacked-out Tahoe, the kind with tinted windows that scream federal agent in farm country. The drive to the old homestead, now Willow Creek Estates, per the glossy website, wound through cornfields dusted with early fall frost. The Adirondacks looming like judgmental elders. I hadn't been back in 8 years. Not since Mom's funeral, where Jake cornered me in the kitchen and hissed, "Stay gone, or I'll tell everyone what you really are." What I really was, the idiot sister who'd covered for him. After the shooting, when the cops sniffed around the shed and found residue, Jake swore me to silence. It was a one-time thing.
Ev.
For Dad's medical bills. You rat me out, we both go down.
Zoilit.
Said it was mine, a stupid teen experiment gone wrong. Community service included a drug program. Jake got sympathy cards and a GoFundMe for his brave recovery. The secret festered, turning me into a ghost of my own, a bartender with trust issues and a concealed carry permit. The venue was a Pinterest fever dream. White tents billowing like sails, fairy lights strung through ancient oaks. A massive barn converted into a reception hall with reclaimed wood beams and crystal chandeliers. Valet parked our Tahoe amid Lexuses and Suburbans. And Jax slipped the kid a 50 to keep it close. I wore a simple black sheath dress, nothing bridal, but sharp enough to cut glass, my hair in a low ponytail. Jax's dog tags tucked under my collar like armor. He was in civvies, charcoal slacks, button-down rolled to the elbows, showing the tattoo of a raven mid-flight on his forearm. "Ready to haunt," he murmured, hand at the small of my back. We slipped in through a side gate, past the catering vans unloading trays of oysters and heirloom tomatoes. The ceremony was underway in a meadow clearing. Rows of Chiavari chairs filled with strangers in pastel seersucker and women fanning themselves with programs. Jake stood at the altar, tall and broad-shouldered, his limp barely noticeable anymore. That salesman's smile plastered on. Lila glided down the aisle on her father's arm, veil trailing like smoke. Vows exchanged, rings slipped on. Applause rippled. No one noticed us melting into the back row shadows. Then the recessional, Jake and Lila arm in arm, beaming, heading our way. His eyes skimmed the crowd until they locked on mine. The color drained from his face, that grin cracking like cheap porcelain. Lila followed his gaze, her perfect brows furrowing. "Everly," she mouthed, more confusion than anger. I stood, slow and deliberate, Jax rising beside me like a sentinel. "Surprise," I said, voice carrying just enough to turn heads. Whispers started. A ripple in the pond. Jake's best man, some frat boy cousin, stepped forward, but Jax's glare pinned him in place. The ghost's reputation precedes him, even in polite society. "Everly, what the hell?" Jake hissed as they reached us, guests milling awkwardly behind. Up close, he looked older, lines etched around his eyes from whatever fresh sins he'd buried. "This is my day." "Your day," I echoed.
Tasting bile.
Funny. I thought family shared those. Lila tugged his arm. Voice a stage whisper. "Babe, Let's not. But Jake's mask slipped, that old fury flashing. You weren't invited for a reason. Some ghosts need to stay dead. Jax's hand tightened on my waist. A warning. Asked a girl if she was maid of honor, he said, casual as ordering coffee. She said intimate guest list. So, we thought we'd RSVP in person. The crowd hushed, sensing blood in the water. Jake's jaw clenched. Security, he muttered to the best man, who fumbled for his phone. That's when it hit me, not rage, but clarity. This wasn't just about crashing, it was the opening salvo. I'd come for answers. For the truth he'd stolen. And if it blew up his perfect day, collateral damage. We didn't get tossed. Not yet. Lila, ever the diplomat, looped her arm through mine like we were sorority sisters. Come to the reception, she cooed, eyes darting to Jake for approval he didn't give. We can talk. Jax nodded at me. Imperceptible, play the long game. The barn thrummed with string lights and a jazz quartet, tables groaning under farm-to-table spreads, burrata with heirloom tomatoes, short ribs braised in bourbon. Open bar flowed with craft IPAs and rose that tasted like summer regret. We grabbed flutes of champagne, toasting silently as Jake worked the room, his limp more pronounced under stress. Whispers followed us. Isn't she the one who shot him? Heard she did time. Lies. Layered like Jake's deceptions. An hour in, aunties cornered me by the charcuterie board. Everly. Honey. We missed you at the rehearsal. Bullshit, they hadn't. But I smiled. Knife edge. Family first. Right? Jax peeled off to network with the groomsmen, his sealed charm disarming them over whiskey shots. I found Jake on the patio, chain-smoking despite the no-smoking signs, staring at the lake where we'd skipped stones as kids. You always were a drama queen, he said without turning. Drama? You framed me for your drug lab.
Jake.
I lied to the cops. Took the hit. And you still cut me out? He exhaled smoke. A dragon in denial. It was one mistake. You're the one who pulled the trigger. To stop you from braining me, I stepped closer. Voice low. But there's more. Isn't there? Dad's death, those medical bills you cooked for. What if I told Lila about the real reason you needed cash? The gambling debts to those Albany bookies? His eyes narrowed. Calculating. You got no proof. Try me. The bluff burned, but it landed. He flicked the butt into the grass, grinding it under his heel.
Fine.
Stay for the cake. But leave after. And keep your mouth shut, or I'll bury you deeper.
Deeper.
As if he hadn't already. But as the quartet struck up at last, and couples swayed under the beams, I felt the first crack in his armor. Revenge wasn't a bullet this time, it was a slow bleed. Jax found me later, slipping a key fob into my hand. Tahoe's gassed. We bail when you say. His lips brushed my temple. Proud of you.
Ev.
Facing the beast. The night wore on, toast slurring into sloppiness. Jake's speech praised Lila as his rock, crediting her for pulling him from dark times. Dark times. I nearly choked on my Pinot. When the cake came out, 5 tiers of vanilla dreamscape, cameras flashed, and I slipped away to the bridal suite upstairs. Heart pounding. There, in a vanity drawer amid lace garters and monogrammed hankies, I found it, a burner phone, tucked like contraband. Jake's emergency line for his side hustles. I powered it on, scrolling texts from unknown numbers, Payment due. Or we talk to the bride.
Bingo.
The secret wasn't buried. It was breathing.
And tonight.
I'd let it howl. The burner buzzed in my pocket like a hornet trapped in silk as I descended the loft stairs. The weddings hum a distant roar below. Jax caught my eye from across the barn. Mid-conversation with Lila's dad, a silver-haired hedge funder who looked like he'd sooner fund a coup than a family reunion. One tilt of my head, and the ghost excused himself, weaving through tipsy guests with that liquid grace that screams predator in sheep's clothing. Jackpot, he murmured. Close enough his breath warmed my ear over the Etta James cover crooning from the speakers. Texts.
Debts.
He's in deep with some serious players. I pulled him into a shadowed alcove behind velvet drapes, the air thick with the scent of peonies and spilled Merlot. The screen glowed, timestamps from last month. Demands escalating, $50K by Friday or pics go to L. Attached, grainy shots of Jake at a poker table in some Atlantic City dive. Stacks of chips and desperation etched on his face. Jack scanned, his jaw a slab of granite. Bookies. Not just any. Looks like Vinny's crew. Albanian enforcers out of Schenectady. Bad news if they crash the honeymoon. I swallowed, the champagne turning sour in my veins. This wasn't the clean revenge I'd scripted in my head, exposing Jake's old sins to shatter his vows. This was a live wire, sparking toward catastrophe. He thinks I'm bluffing about the gambling. But if I leak this to Lila, collateral.
Jax fingers grazat mine.
Steady as a sniper's aim. She walks. He's ruined. But those texts, that's leverage he can't ignore. Aunt Marge waddled by then, plate piled with petit fours. Oblivious. Everly, dance with your man. Her laugh cackled like a hyena's, drawing eyes. We complied. Jax's hand firm on my hip as we swayed into the fray. His body heat anchored me, a reminder that I wasn't the lone wolf anymore. But as Jake's gaze bored into us from the head table, wary, wounded, I felt the old fracture lines reopen. Family. What a joke. The first real fracture came at the bouquet toss. Lila, flushed with bubbly and bliss, gathered the single women in a giggling huddle under the chandelier's glow. I hung back, arms crossed, but Jax nudged me forward with a grin. Go on, ghostess. Catch it for practice. Lila's eyes widened as I stepped into the circle, cousins parting like the Red Sea. Everly?
Oh.
Come on. Join the fun. Her voice lilted, but tension threaded it like barbed wire. The DJ hyped the crowd, and up went the roses, arcing high before plummeting straight into my hands. Gasps, then awkward claps. I held it aloft, thorns pricking my palm, blood welling in tiny crescents. Symbolic. Much. Jake surged from his seat, color high. Give it here, he growled, low enough for only us to hear as he closed in.
Why?
Afraid I'll catch something else? I thrust it at Lila instead. Stems first. Congrats?
Cease.
May your thorns be few. She took it, faltering smile, while Jake's hand clamped my elbow, hard. Outside.
Now.
The patio air slapped cold, stars pricking the velvet sky like bullet holes. Jack shadowed us. A silent storm. Jake rounded on me, breath fogging. What the fuck are you pulling?
Ev?
This your idea of payback? Humiliating me on my wedding night. Humiliating you? Laughter barked out. Brittle. Try living with your shadow for a decade. The jobs I lost because the shooter sister couldn't be trusted. The dates who ghosted when they Googled my name. You got the farm, the wife.
The lie.
I got scraps. His face twisted. Guilt? Or calculation? I protected you. That lab shit. Cops would have torn us apart. Dad was dying.
Ev.
I did what I had to. For Dad? Or for the high-stakes tables where you pissed away his life insurance. The words landed like slaps. The burners weight a lead anchor in my pocket. Jake blanched, glancing at Jax like he was sizing up a threat. You don't know shit. Try me. Vinny says hi. I pulled a phone. Screen up. Wire tomorrow or we visit the venue. Bring the bride. His eyes bulged, a vein throbbing at his temple. Where'd you? He snatched for it, but Jax intercepted, wrist locking like a vice. Easy. Brother-in-law, Jax drawled, voice ice over steel. That's evidence. And touching it makes you accessory to whatever fresh hell you're cooking. Jake sagged against the railing, the groom's boutonniere wilting. It's not what you think. Started small, poker nights to blow off steam. After the limp, the painkillers. One bet led to another. Lila doesn't know. No one does. Pity flickered. Unwanted. This was the brother who'd taught me to bait hooks, who'd cried when Dad's chemo failed. But pity's a luxury for the unforgiven. Pay it off. Or I do. With what? The farm's leverage to hell for this wedding. Desperation cracked his voice, raw as an open wound. Help me.
Ev.
Like old times. Front me the cash. I'll pay you back. Swear on Mom. Old times. The shed. The rifle. The lies.
No.
This ends tonight. Tell Lila. Or I will. He lunged then, not at me, but Jax. Fists flying in a sloppy haymaker born of booze and cornered rage. The ghost sidestepped, effortless, tripping Jake into a topiary that exploded in a shower of boxwood. Guests spilled out. Phones up, capturing the grooms sprawled in mulch. Lila screamed, rushing forward. Jake. What? Everly. Chaos bloomed. Uncles pulling Jake up. Lila's mascara streaking. The DJ's mic crackling with a
Folks.
minor hiccup. Keep dancing. I backed away. Burner clutched, as Jax murmured. Your call.
Ev.
Burn it down. But as sirens wailed distant, someone's 911 call. No doubt. I hesitated. Revenge tasted like ash. What if exposing him dragged me under too? The secret I'd buried wasn't just his. It was mine. Woven into my bones. We slipped out amid the confusion. Tahoe's engine purring like a getaway car from a heist flick. Jax drove, one hand on the wheel, the other tracing my knuckles. You okay?
No.
The lake road unspooled, black as ink. He asked for help. Like I'm the villain here. You're not. Firm. Unyielding. But villains don't beg, they bargain. Back at the motel, a no-tell off I-87 with vibrating beds and complimentary regret, I paced the threadbare carpet. Burner on the nightstand like a ticking bomb. Text pinged. Who is this? From an unknown. Vinny's muscle.
Probably.
Jack showered. Steam curling. Emerging in boxers with a towel over his shoulder. Sleep on it. Tomorrow. We decide. Sleep didn't come. Instead. Memories clawed. Jake
Cease.
For not ratting. Lies from the start. By dawn. Resolve hardened. I'd confront Lila, let her choose.
Clean break.
But morning brought a curveball, a voicemail from Jake. Voice wrecked.
Ev.
Don't. I fixed it. Wired the money.
But.
There's more. Meet me at the old dock.
Noon.
Alone. Please.
More.
The word hung like smoke. Jack stirred, eyes opening.
Go.
I'll shadow. The dock creaked under my boots, wind whipping the lake to froth. Jake waited, disheveled in yesterday's Tux Sands bow tie, a manila envelope in hand. Truce. He extended it, trembling. Inside, documents, yellowed. Dad's will. Contested. He cut me out. Said I was unreliable. Left everything to you. I forged it, swapped the names. That's why the debts. To buy it back.
Forged.
The farm. Mom's jewelry. The life I never claimed. Betrayal squared. Cubed. You stole my inheritance? For what, your ego? To fix us. Tears tracked his cheeks. Unmanly in the American Dream playbook. After the shooting, I thought you'd never forgive. So I erased you. Rage boiled.
Pure.
I slapped him, crack echoing off the water. He reeled, but didn't swing back. Hit me harder, he choked. I deserve it, but as his blood trickled, lips split. Not for me. The sirens from last night echoed in my head.
Cops.
Questions. My prints on that rifle. All those years cold. One push, and the whole house of cards tumbled. Jax's truck crunched gravel distant. A lifeline. Everly. I turned, leaving the envelope in the dirt. Forgiveness?
No.
But destruction? Maybe not yet. We hit the road south. Burners silenced. Secrets heavier. Revenge, I realized, isn't a sprint. It's a marathon through moral quicksand. And Jake? He was just lapping the track. The drive back to Virginia was a pressure cooker on wheels. Jack's at the wheel. Radio scanning static between classic rock stations that crackled like my nerves. The envelope rode shotgun. Unopened now. Its contents a Pandora's box I'd glimpsed, but not fully unpacked.
Forgery.
My name scrubbed from Dad's will like a bad tattoo. Jake's empire. Willow Creek. The wedding farce, built on my erasure. Every mile marker hammered at home. I'd been the ghost all along, haunting my own life. Pull over, I said finally. Somewhere past Harrisburg, the Susquehanna River glinting like fool's gold under noon sun. Jax eased onto an exit ramp, gravel popping under tires. Talk to me?
Ev.
I snatched the envelope, ripping it wide. Pages fluttered. The original will. Dad's shaky scrawl leaving the farm to my daughter Everly, who carries the family's true heart. Then the forgery, Jake's hand. Steady as a forger's should be. Swapping names. Affidavits from shady notaries. Timestamps aligning with his recovery year. And tucked in the fold, a photo of Dad in his recliner. Oxygen mask fogging. Jake at his side. Pen poised over papers. Coerced? Or complicit? Dad knew, I whispered. Throat raw.
About the dealing.
The gambling. And he still chose me. Jax killed the engine. Hand covering mine. Then take it back. Lawyer up. Sue the bastard dry.
Så?
That's paperwork and depositions. Years of him lawyering up, painting me as the vengeful psycho. I crumpled the photo, but it sprang back, resilient.
No.
I want him to feel it. The way he made me feel. Invisible. Disposable. The ghost's eyes darkened. That operational calculus kicking in. Then we go surgical. Leak the forgery to the right ears. Lila. The bank holding the farm note. Watch it implode from afar. Tempting.
Clean.
But as we merged back onto I-81, semis thundering past. Doubt gnawed. What if Lila was innocent? Hampton's polish aside. She'd reached out once. Post-engagement. A hesitant text. Heard about the family stuff. Coffee? I ghosted it.
Too raw. Now.
Her face in that bouquet moment shock. Not malice stuck like burrs. By Richmond. My phone lit up. Unknown caller. I answered on speaker. Jax's grip tightening. Everly? It's Lila. Jake told me everything. The will.
The debts.
God. I'm so sorry. Her voice trembled. New York edge softened by tears. He swore it was over, the gambling. But this? Forging her dad's last wish? I can't. Stay. I cut in, surprising myself. Or go. But if you stay, know what you're marrying. Silence stretched. Then a sniffle. I need time. But thank you for showing up. For the truth.
Click.
Jax whistled low. That was mercy. Was it? The river valley's blurred green. A mockery of renewal. Mercy felt like surrender. But maybe that's the twist. Revenge's sharpest blade is letting them live with the mirror. Home hit like a decompression chamber. Our duplex off the base. With its creaky porch swing and Jax's weight bench rusting in the yard. He grilled burgers that night. Sesame buns from the commissary. While I nursed a seltzer. Staring at the harbor lights. SEAL life meant absences, deployments that stretched weeks into voids, but tonight, he stayed. Flipping patties with tongs like it was therapy. Tell me about the first op, I said abruptly. Needing distraction. The one that earned the call sign. He plated the food. Steam rising. Kandahar. '09. Night raid on a Taliban safe house. Intel said high-value target, but it was a trap. IEDs. RPGs. I ghosted the team through a wadi. Pulled 3 guys out under fire. Vanished like smoke. He shrugged, but his eyes distant. Replaying ghosts of his own. Must make family shit seem small. Nothing small about blood. He speared a bite. Chewing thoughtful. Jake's not Taliban. But he's a threat. Domestic variety. We ate on the porch. Crickets chirping a southern lullaby. Later. In bed. His arms a fortress. I dreamed of the dock. Jake sinking into the lake. Envelope dissolving like evidence. Woke sweating. Jax's steady breath my anchor. Monday brought normalcy's facade. Me at the community college. Adjuncting intro crim law to wide-eyed freshmen who thought white-collar crime was sexy. Everly Voss? Like the shooter? One whispered post-lecture. I smiled. Feral.
Worse.
I teach it. Jax deployed midweek, classified. 2 months minimum. Watch your 6, he murmured at the airport.
Kishlingering.
Call if Jake surfaces. He did. That Friday. As I graded papers in a coffee shop off Lynnhaven. The scent of dark roast mingling with salt air. Text, Lila left. Taking half.
Need to talk.
Flying down tomorrow. Rage simmered, but curiosity won. I replied, coffee.
10 Uhr morgens. Noble seat.
He arrived at the strip mall Starbucks, looking like roadkill, stubble silvering, eyes bloodshot from red ice and regret. Ev, he started.
No preamble.
You were right. I fucked it all. Understatement. I slid him a black coffee, watching him doctor it with creamers like armor. Lila's lawyers already circling the farm. Banks calling notes. Vinny's crew? They don't forget. He winced, sipping scalding. Paid him off with the honeymoon fund. But the will.
Shit. Ev.
I panicked. Dad was lucid one day, gone the next. He mumbled about you. Always you. I couldn't lose everything. Everything? Or just control. The shop buzzed, baristas calling orders. A mom wrangling toddlers. Normal life. Mocking our mess. Jake leaned in, voice dropping. Help me fight it. The forgery say it was mutual. We split the farm. Start over. Like siblings should. Siblings. The word twisted like a knife. You shot that chance in the shed.
Jake.
When you swung first. His face crumpled, boyish vulnerability peeking through the cracks. I was scared.
Hi.
But you're all I got left. Lies. Or half-truths. The barista eyed us, sensing drama fodder for TikTok. Decide fast, I said. Or I walk. He nodded, desperate.
Deal.
But one condition, meet my contact. Excop. Handles quiet settlements. Tonight. Neutral ground. Neutral. A oyster bar on the Chesapeake Bay. Neon flickering over shuck shells and hush puppies. Jax was gone, but his absence echoed, trust your gut. I arrived early, scoping exits like he'd taught me. Back door to the alley. Water view for quick dips if needed. The ex-cop was a bull of a man named Harlan. Retired NYPD with a gut from desk years and a handshake like concrete. Heard the story. He grunted over steamers. Family disputes, messiest cases. Jake fidgeted, peeling labels from his beer. Harlan can mediate. Get the bank off our backs. Void the will contest quietly. I eyed Harlan, too slick. Gold pinky, ring glinting. What's your cut? Fair shake. He smiled. Teeth yellowed. 20%.
Cash.
Something soured. Show me credentials. He slid a card, but as I pocketed it, my phone vibrated. Jax. Satellite text. Background check. Harlan's dirty. Tied to Vinny. Trap. Ice flooded my veins. Jake's eyes darted. Guilty? Or played? This your fix. I hissed. Standing. Set me up for the Albanians? No. Harlan's legit. Jake protested. But Harlan's hand dipped to his belt. Peace? I bolted. Chair scraping. Out the back into briny night air. Tires screeched. Black SUV idling. Footsteps pounded. Heart slamming. I vaulted a dumpster. Salt stinging lungs. Phone to ear. Jax. Static. Lost signal. Then a hand clamped my shoulder. Jake. Panting. Run.
Ev.
It's not. A shot cracked. Muffled silencer. Harlan bursting out. Gun raised. Jake shoved me aside, taking the graze to his arm. Go, he yelled, tackling the ex-cop into gravel. I ran, blind into the marsh.
Rage whipping.
Sirens wailed eventual. Good Samaritans? Cops swarmed, cuffing Harlan mid-struggle. Jake slumped against the wall, blood soaking his shirt, eyes on mine. Told you. All I got. Paramedics loaded him. Cops questioning. Shooter hired by bookies. Your brother's a witness now. Witness. The irony burned. At the ER, waiting plastic chairs. Lila arrived, disheveled.
No makeup.
He called me. Said you saved him. Her hand squeezed mine.
Tentative.
We're done. But the farm. It's yours. He signed it over. Twist of the knife. Revenge delivered. But hollow. As Jake wheeled past, doped on morphine, he mouthed,
Sorry.
Sorry doesn't stitch wounds. But as I drove home, dawn breaking over the bay, I wondered, was I free? Or just the new ghost? The farm papers arrived certified mail 2 weeks later. Crisp legalese stamped with Jake's scrawl, full transfer.
Nostrines.
Willow Creek Estates. 200 acres of rolling pastures and that cursed barn, now mine by default of his downfall. I stared at them over takeout lo mein in our duplex. Jack's on R&R from deployment, his frame filling the doorway like a homecoming king from Hell Week. Sign him over to a trust, he advised, chopsticks pausing midair. Or burn him. Your call. Farm girl. I traced the deed's embossed seal, thumb smudged with soy. It's not victory.
Feels like.
Inheritance tax on betrayal. He set the carton down, pulling me onto his lap, rare tenderness from the ghost. Then make it yours. Airbnb the barn for hipster weddings. Host therapy retreats for family fuck-ups. His chuckle rumbled, but eyes serious. Don't let him haunt it. Haunt. The word clung as we packed for the flight north, me to claim the keys. Him tagging along for moral support, code for bodyguard duty. Harlan's arrest made headlines. Ex-cop busted in wedding night shooting. Groom cisfoils hit. Jake played hero. Arm in sling for the cameras. But the subtext screamed, debts paid in blood, if not cash. Vinny's crew scattered, spooked by feds sniffing Albanian money trails. Lila vanished to her parents' vineyard estate, filing papers remotely. Clean break. Southern style. The farm greeted us under October haze, leaves turning traitor red along the drive. Realtor, a perky redhead named Trish, handed over keys with a binder of comps. Prime spot. Flip the venue. You're golden. She air-kissed and bounced, leaving us in the empty farmhouse, dust motes dancing in shafts through lace curtains. Dad's old pipe rack on the mantel gathering cobwebs. Jax prowled like a house cat on steroids, checking closets for skeletons, literal and otherwise. Clear, he called from the basement, where the old shed's shadow loomed outside. Raised post-shooting, but its ghost lingering in floorboards. I wandered the kitchen, where Mom's recipe tin sat untouched, oatmeal cookies. The kind we'd bake after school fights. Jake's wedding cake had been vanilla. Store-bought perfection.
Mine?
Burnt edges and love. Tears pricked. Unbidden. What now? I yelled. Now, we exercise. Jax emerged, sleeves rolled. A bottle of bourbon in fist. Maker's mark. Dad's brand.
Pour.
We sat on the porch swing, chains creaking like confessions. Passing the bottle. Fire bloomed in my chest, loosening tongues. Remember the dock? I said, stars pricking velvet sky. He begged. Like I was the lifeline. You were. Jax's arm draped my shoulders,
Heavy.
but lifeline snap if pulled too hard. Mid-swig, headlights swept the gravel. Unmarked cruiser? No. Jake's truck. Battered F-150. Him at the wheel. Sling-free but gaunt. He killed the engine. Stepping out slow. Hands visible, surrender pose.
Ev.
Gravel crunched. Jack stiffened beside me, but I waved him down. What? Needed to see it. Before you change the locks. He leaned against a post, shadows carving hollows in his cheeks. Lawyers say it's ironclad. You win.
No winners.
Bourbon slurred my edge. Just survivors. He nodded. Eyes on the barn, its beams now mine to haunt or heal. Lila's filing for annulment. Clean slate.
Me?
Bankruptcy. Maybe.
But.
Thanks. For not finishing the job. The rifle echoed. Phantom. Self-defense. Remember? You started it. A ghost of a smile.
Yeah.
And you ended it. He fished a key from his pocket, the master.
Worn.
Keep this. In case. In case of what? Round 2. In case you need a brother. He tossed it, jingling, and retreated to his truck. Taillights fading into night. Jax exhaled. Manipulative fuck. Or broken. I pocketed the key. Heavy as regret. Like us. That night. In the master bed, musty sheets aired but still scented with Mom's lavender. We made love slow. Deliberate. Reclaiming space. Jax's scars mapped under my fingers. Stories in Braille. Shrapnel from Helmand. Knife from Mogadishu. You're my north, he whispered post-climax. Breath ragged. Don't let him pull you south.
North. Toward light?
Or just away from the pit. Sleep claimed me. Dreams a montage. Wedding crashes morphing to courtroom dramas. Jake testifying against Harlan. His limp exaggerated for sympathy. Woke to rain lashing windows. Jax brewing coffee in the ancient percolator. We spent days gutting, hauling Jake's cast-offs, poker chips from a drawer. Bridal magazines yellowing in the attic. Found the shed's remnants too. Burnt blueprints for expansion. Notes on quiet investors. Vinny's fingerprints. Faded. Burned it all in a backyard pit. Flames devouring paper sins. But the real gut punch came Friday. A package. No return. Inside. Dad's rifle. Cleaned.
Oiled.
With a note, self-defense kit. For the next ghost.
G.
I laughed. Maniacal. Then sobbed into Jax's chest. He thinks this fixes it? Nothing fixes. Practical as ever. He locked it in the gun safe. But it closes a loop. Loop closed? Hardly. As we prepped to head south, farm handed to a property manager for rustic retreats, my phone pinged. Lila. In town. Lunch? Need advice on starting over.
Advice. From the black sheep.
I agreed. Meeting at a Williamsburg cafe. Colonial charm clashing with our wreckage. She looked stripped down, no highlights. Jeans frayed. Eyes clear. Divorce is hell, she started over salads. But liberating. Jake? He loved the idea of us more than me. Story of his life. Fork-speared arugula. Vicious. Ideas over people. She nodded.
Tentative.
He told me about the will.
The lab.
Everything. Said you carried it all so he could. Grow up. Grow up. At my expense. And And I see why you crashed. Bravery, not spite. Her hand extended. Olive branch. If you ever want to collaborate on the farm, women's wellness weekends or something. Collaborate. The word dangled. Controversial. Team up with the ex-fiancé? Readers would split. Fool's Errand or Phoenix Rising. I pocketed it. Non-committal. Maybe. Back home. Jax grilled me over IPAs.
Stockholm. No.
Power. But doubt whispered. Was it absolution? Or another layer of his game? November brought Thanksgiving, irony's feast. We hosted at the duplex. Jax's squad mates. Rowdy seals with stories redacted. And a surprise. Jake.
Flying solo.
Pie in hand from a gas station. Truce round 2. He quipped at the door. Sling gone. But awkward as a prom date. Jax eyed him like prey. But I waved him in. Turkey carved. Football blaring. We navigated minefield small talk. Heard about the farm. Jake ventured over green beans.
Sounds.
Fitting.
Fitting.
I passed the gravy. Boat steady. You signing autographs for the shooting story yet? His laugh choked. Touché. But seriously proud of you.
Ev.
Taking the hit. Then the win.
Win.
The word polarized even me. As plates cleared, Jax pulled me aside. Your house. But he's a wild card. Wild card. That's when the call came. Harlan's lawyer. From upstate. Client wants a deal. Testify against the Albanians. Lighter sentence. Needs your statement on the wedding night altercation. Altercation. The Grays. The chase. My word could bury Harlan. Free Jake from shadows. Or twist it. Pin more on him. Controversy incarnate. Save the brother who stole your life? I hung up, staring at the turkey carcass. Picked clean. Decision time. Jake overheard, pausing mid-dish. Whatever you choose. I get it. Did he? As snow flurried outside. Virginia winter whispering warnings. I weighed scales. Justice blind. Or blood thicker. The squad howled at a replay touchdown. Oblivious. Jax's hand found mine under the table, anchor. But the scales tipped toward chaos. As always. December dawned brittle. The kind of cold that seeps into bones and hardens resolve. Harlan's deal loomed like a guillotine. My testimony could gut the Albanian ring. Turn Jake from mark to martyr. Or I could sandbag it. Let ambiguities fester. Watch his hero narrative curdle. Controversy's cradle. Do I redeem the irredeemable? Or let karma's dogs loose? We flew north again. Jax on standby. His next op loomed post-holidays. A shadow over eggnog. The deposition was set in a sterile Albany conference room. Fluorescent buzz. Coffee urn hissing like accusations. Jake waited outside, pacing the hall in a wool overcoat too big for his frame, looking every inch the prodigal. Inside, Harlan's lawyer, a ferret-faced suit named Kessler, smiled like a shark. MS. Voss. Your account of the incident. I sat straight. Tape rolling. Jax's dog tags cool against my skin. Clear night. Oyster bar. Harlan approached. Aggressive. Drew on us, my brother and me. Chase ensued. Shots fired. Kessler leaned in.
Oily.
And your brother's role? He initiated contact. Initiated. The hook.
No.
Harlan did. Jake protected me.
Truth. Half spun.
Enough to shield. not exonerate. The Fed across the table. Burly.
No nonsense, nadie.
That tracks with forensics. But the debts, your brother's ties to Vinny? Past tense. Lie by omission. Jake's wire transfer had bought silence, but threads lingered. He's clean now.
Kiss la pouncil.
Clean? Or covering? Word is, he forged documents, family will, to fund payoffs. The room tilted.
How?
Jake slipped to Lila? Or my bourbon loose invent? Betrayal's echo. Flipping again. Allegations, I countered. Voice steal. Unproven. The Fed closed his notebook. Will verify. But your word carries.
Es. Voss.
Heroine's choice.
Heroin.
The label chafed as I exited. Jake's eyes pleading. What did you say? Enough. I brushed past. Jack's falling in step. You're welcome.
Outside.
Snow swirled, blanketing sins. You covered for him, Jack said in the rental. Wipers slashing. Again. Not for him. For Dad's ghost. For the farm not becoming a crime scene. But doubt gnawed, another layer of my lie, burying us deeper. Christmas Eve. Back in Virginia, lights strung on the duplex. Jax's ma shipping fruitcake from Texas. We trimmed a scrub pine, ornaments clinking like toasts to survival. Then Jake called, voicemail, voice thick. Merry Christmas.
Ev.
Feds cut a deal. Harlan flips on Vinny. Farm safe. Thanks. For everything. Everything. The word hung as we made love, by tree glow. Slow and sacred. Jax's whispers vows against my temple. Marry me proper. Vegas. Or here. Your rules. Proposal redux. Ring now, a simple band. Black diamond winking like midnight. Yes, I breathed. But the yes fractured, joy laced with Jake's shadow. New Year's brought the twist, the one that split souls. Lila texted coordinates, a dive bar in Norfolk. Neutral ground. She waited in a booth. Documents spread like a peace treaty. Annulment's final.
But.
Jake's not telling you everything. My gut clenched. What? She slid a USB drive. Hired a PI after the wedding. Turns out, the forgery, Dad knew. Signed off on it, before the end. To protect you both. Jake was supposed to split it even.
But.
He didn't. Dad knew. Complicit in the lie. Shielding his fuck-ups. The secret wasn't Jake's alone. It was generational rot. Why now? Because I'm done being the villain's wife. Her eyes hardened. Controversial queen. And because you deserve the full truth. Sell the farm. Burn it, your call. But don't carry his weight anymore. Weight lifted? Or shifted? I pocketed the drive. Hugging her awkward. Ex-sister-in-law. Unlikely ally. Thanks. Jax found me later. Drive in hand. Bombshell. Detonation. We watched the files on his laptop. Dad's addendum. Scrawled in hospice haze, to my kids. Equal shares. Jake. Manage till Ev's ready. Love. Always.
Jake esse solo execution.
Pocketing it all. Rage. Jax asked. Arm around me. Relief. Twisted.
Yes.
Dad's choice absolved me. The bearer. Not the betrayer. But Jake? Still the schemer. Flipping from foe to fragile. January thawed the impasse. I drove north solo. Farm calling like a siren's debt. Jake met me at the gate. Snow boots crunching. Heard from Lila. PI2. I held up the drive. Dad's note. The real one. His face ashen. I meant to tell you. After the wedding. Lies. But softer now. Exhausted. Why not split it? Fear. He kicked Snow.
Boy again.
You'd leave. Start over without the baggage. Baggage.
Us.
Too late for that. Not if we rebuild. Eyes earnest. Controversial plea. Partners. You run events. I handle grounds. Pay you back, principal and interest.
Partners.
The climax is fork. Embrace the mess. Or torch it. Readers would war. Forgiveness folly. Or blood's redemption. I waited. Wind howling. The rifle safe at home. Jax's ring warming my finger. Trial basis. 6 months. One slip, gone.
Deal.
His hug crushed. Desperate.
Cease. Sis.
Fractured. But mending. We toured the barn. Echoes of vows and violence. Planning. Yoga retreats. Not weddings. Lila even chipped in. Remote consultant for empowerment weekends. Spring bloomed contentious. First event. A corporate offsite. Jake charming execs while I oversaw catering. Whispers followed. The shooting siblings? But dollars silenced them. Jax deployed again. But calls steadied. Proud.
Ev.
Building empires. Empire. From ashes. But the twist lingered. Midsummer. A letter from Dad's lawyer. Unearthed in probate review. Everly, if you're reading this, Jake's faltered. The farm's yours alone. But forgive if you can. Blood's the only legacy worth saving.
Forgive.
The final debate, happy mend, or tragic illusion, as fireflies danced over pastures. Jake and I shared a beer on the porch. Swing creaking. To second chances, he toasted. I clinked. Half smile. To truths. Truth. No one's wholly right. Wholly wrong.
Revenge arc bent.
Not broke. And in America's heartland grit, that's as close to grace as ghosts get. But late nights, rifles wait in dreams. I wonder, is this peace? Or just intermission?